Art Journal Pages. Background: Perfecting the Embossed Drippage Techniques. Not too long ago, I discovered glycerin and have been experimenting with its uses for art journaling. I discovered from the Frugal Crafter channel that glycerin can be used as an embossing base. As I experimented with it on my Missing Pieces page in a previous video, I have discovered that I could use it to do some embossed drippage. Quite an accidental discovery for me. But the page was still not quite what I wanted to accomplish, so I've been trying some other techniques. I think I've found a technique that works quite well now, and that is first letting the clear glycerin drip down the page and then applying the embossing powder to the drippage. I do not usually go for the drippage technique on my pages, but the ability to spiff it up a little with some embossed shine is changing all that. If you try this technique, just be aware, this is messy, it is drippy, it is oily, but oh, it is so fun. Grab a paper towel and watch the drips. Okay, I'm going to start off by masking out some words on my page that I don't want to get covered up with the embossing powder. And then I get out a towel because this is a very messy process, and I pour some glycerin in the cap, and then I just run it over the top of the page and tilt the page up and let the glycerin just drip down the page. I'm not much one for drippage, but when it comes to glycerin and embossing a page, I think that I've found my I've found my love of drippage. Now I just do the same thing on the bottom and let that run down. And you'll see that some of that drippage has turned pink, and that's because I have dilutions on the page. I get out some UTs, some silver ultra thick embossing powder, and I just coat all that glycerin that's dripped down the page with the ultra thick embossing powder. And I do that several times to get a really good coverage. This is a very messy process, but it's also very fun. Like I said, I'm not much of a person for want to do drippage on my pages, but my whole opinion of it has changed if I can emboss it. And here I'm still just working with getting a good coverage of embossing powder over the glycerin before I take the heat gun to it. And that's what I'm doing now. And you'll see as I emboss that glycerin, not only does it emboss, but it's still pretty runny, that it will create a stream, and it will move on its own, and it will even move away from the embossing powder and create a stream on its own. You'll see that as I'm working with it here. But this, I've been working with embossing drippage on my pages, and I just hadn't perfected the technique, but I think this comes really close to accomplishing what I want to get done. Now you can see you'll want to have a lot of paper towels and papers around, because it is a very messy process and your paper will get very oily from that glycerin. Here I'm just recoating my page with embossing powder again, just to give it a really good coat. And I shake it off, and then I'll put some more on spots that have been missed, and I do that several times just to make sure that I get a good coverage. Yeah, I think that this is probably the best technique for doing the embossed drippage that I've found so far. Now I'm starting to heat it up again, heat the embossing powder again. And it takes some patience, but you'll see as that embossing powder starts to turn a more silvery color that it is doing the embossing. And that glycerin is forming the base that will glue the embossing powder to the base of the page. I will say that this page is going to go out to one of my swap partners for our January creative art journaling group. We're doing stream of consciousness, and I think that this stream of embossed drippage works very well with the stream of consciousness. This is the base of the page. I have other things that I'm going to do on this page. Now you can see how oily that page gets. I put that paper towel over there, and I'm cleaning the oil, the glycerin off of the page. I'm removing the tape from the page where I mask out those words so that my words will still show, and I'm just buffing all of that glycerin off of my page. And I just keep buffing it away and removing as much. There's still a thin film of glycerin on the page, but that will dry as I buff it and as I work with the page. Okay, here is the finished page. I'm very happy with it. All that drippage has been embossed. Isn't that really cool? I like it. Now here's another page that I did prior to the one I just showed you. I was still trying to perfect the technique. I did it a little bit differently. I applied the glycerin to the top of the page and then the embossing powder right on top of it, and then I tried to let everything drip down at once, and it was not quite as successful, but I'll keep that page for myself. And these pages will be going out in the January 2014 Creative Art Journaling Stream of Consciousness page. You'll see that finished page in a future video, but I wanted to show you this embossed drippage technique. I hope that it has given somebody out there some ideas to try it. Just be aware that it's very, very messy. So if you enjoyed watching this, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next page.